Hello, everyone. I'm here with Jasmine. Jasmine is an IT professional. Jasmine had agreed to do an interview with me to kind of tell everyone her path to start out in the IT, some struggles she's had, and then where she is now. Thank you for joining me, Jasmine.
Happy to be here.
Jasmine, I know a lot about you, but the people I'm going to be showing this video, they don't know how you became an IT professional. And so if you can give us some insight and tell us what careers did you start first? What careers were you in?
My path to IT was very unexpected. So I was in the Navy. I was a nuclear technician. I taught at the school in Charleston, and it was fun. But it wasn't the career for me. Nuclear technology is a wonderful, wonderful career, but it wasn't changing, it wasn't evolving. And so I felt very stagnant there. And that plus a couple other random things that were going on in my life, it meant that I was separating from the Navy. So I left the Navy and I wanted to try something new. So at the time, I had an opportunity to come to Florida and I was like, ooh, something new, because I was also one of those people that I joined the Navy to see the world and I ended up going 3 hours away from home, still in the state of South Carolina, and that was my naval career. So I wanted to try something new. I wanted to be somewhere new, somewhere different. And so I moved to Florida. Well, the initial opportunity that I moved to Florida for did not pan out. So I found myself in a position as a recently separated veteran with no home, no job, no income besides what I got for my disability, which was the reason that I had to separate from the Navy. So it was a tough position to be in, and I was struggling to find a job anywhere because a nuclear technician, that was my only background. That was all I had because I joined right out of the military, or excuse me, right out of high school. So it was a tough position to be in, and I found New Horizons. So I actually started at New Horizons just before my official separation date from the Navy. And it was an awesome opportunity. I got to use the GI Bill to kind of help me stay afloat and start something new and something interesting. And I was like, oh, I'm a smart girl. I can do computers. I've turned one of those on before. So it was really just kind of an accident. It was a means to an end at first. And then it turned into something that I loved because as I got started and I realized that this was something that was always going to change and always going to be interesting and always have more to learn, that was where I wanted to be.
That's
Um,
fantastic. So what else happened?
so a lot of stuff happened. So I started the courses and they were much more challenging than I expected. Again, I thought myself a smart girl, thought I could get away with just kind of sitting in class and, absorbing the material. And I did well. I had good feedback from my instructor, but I wasn't passing certification exams. I took one. I took the very first A+ exam, which I think right now, back then it was the 900 exam or the 901. Now I think we're in the 1000 series. So I took that and I barely passed, like no extra credit whatsoever. I think the passing score was like a 635. That's what I got. Um, and I was the only person in my class to actually sit for an exam and pass it. So I thought I was hot stuff and I sat for the 902, the core 2 exam, and I failed it. I failed it bad.
So how'd you
Um,
feel after that?
it was definitely one of those reality check moments where you have to kind of really sit with yourself and go, you've been overconfident, or you haven't been taking this seriously, or whatever the case may be, but you went in there and you came out with nothing. So I had to really kind of take a couple of step backs and learn from that failure. And at first, it scared me. That failure scared me.
Yeah.
So uh, I was kind of giving up. I, for a short time, decided that obviously IT was not for me. And so somewhere around that time, I was getting close to the end of my coursework. So the check from the GI Bill was going to stop. I still didn't have a job. I didn't have a certification. I was kind of freaking out. So I decided to start another school. So I actually started cosmetology school that was down the street from New Horizons. Um, and and I was trying that. It was keeping my rent paid. But I wasn't really overly interested in that either. Cosmetology is a very lucrative career for those who are able to really sit there and focus in it. And I was not one of those people. I could do the bookwork just fine because I can memorize things, no
Right.
problem. But the practical application of it just didn't suit me. So I was very fortunate that my instructor recognized some type of potential in me, and there was an opening for an instructor. So he made me a deal: get your certifications and I'll get you a job. And that's what happened. So I finally buckled down and really started studying. I was on my phone going through all the study websites. I was getting quizzed by my partner. I was doing all sorts of stuff as much as I could until I finally sat down to that exam again and I passed it.
So let me ask you, Jasmine, did you have a certain technique that you used? Like, did you study early in the morning, or did you have when you were on your phone were lunchtime, or how did you get around that?
I am a night owl.
Okay.
And at the time, I was also new to the area, so I didn't really have a whole lot of people that I could study with. Um, though I kind of wish I had, because definitely as I grew and as I collected more of these people in my life, studying together is much easier. But in those moments when I was first starting out, I was taking every spare moment that I had. So any break while I was in school and I was waiting for somebody's relaxer to set or whatever it was that I was doing, they're roller sets really, but whatever. Um, but if I was waiting for a chemical process or if I was waiting for something else and I was in the back sitting down or I was setting up my stuff, like I had my phone set up and I would just scroll through questions and answer, scroll through questions. Cause a lot of those sites have like the flashcard things. So that's what I was using. I was using those and any study dump that I could find, anything that I could find as a resource to help me really ingrain this knowledge every moment that I had.
So from that point on, you started taking the exams, and I think you had some obvious successes, right?
I did. I did. Eventually, I did get not just my A plus, but my Net plus. I currently hold in good standing A plus, Net plus, Security plus, Server plus, Cloud Essentials plus. I am also working on a Linux plus and Project plus certifications because they're part of my current degree path. Because I started college eventually, and I also hold my CCNA exam, my MCSA for Windows 10, Server 2016. I'm a Teams administrator and an Azure administrator.
Awesome. Wow. And you know that one core two exam did not stop you one bit. You kept on going, and that's one thing I really like about you, Jasmine, is you had the grit to pick yourself up, recognize that you just can't just sit through class. You really got to go through and do the work. Um, now, now, the one thing that you still part-time work for New Horizons. You help us out every now and then if there's a need, which we really appreciate it. But what are you doing now? You actually moved out of Florida. You're now an Azure administrator, and now you're in where?
I'm in South Carolina. I came back home. Yes, I came back home to colder weather and closer to family and whatnot. So I work for DSS Incorporated. We are a healthcare software development company. So I work for them as a solutions engineer, which is a really fancy title for if there's a problem, I figure out how to fix it. So I work mostly with the applications team. So anytime that we have new software that we want to introduce, new DevOps processes that we want to introduce, I'm kind of one of the people, part of a team of, we're at 11 now, I think, a part of a team of 11 that kind of digs in and does all these different things. And we support a company of over 600 people.
That's amazing. So keep on hearing the term team in the workplace. And would you find it much easier to study with other people as a team, as instead of sometimes people feel kind of isolated and alone in their study process? If
Definitely.
you said that if you knew more people, you would love to have that camaraderie to study. And I being a cooperative learning teacher, I know that that's one of the best things. And I'm so happy that you came here to interview me. But I just want to ask you one final question. For all those people out there that are starting their career in IT, do you have any advice for them to study, taking those certs, and finding that next job in IT?
I think the most important thing about starting a new career in IT is finding what you love, right? Not all pieces of any career path or any particular realm of expertise is for everyone. Most people specialize in some way or another. So you kind of just have to keep working at it until you find what you love. When I first started, I thought my passion was going to be ripping those computers apart and put them back together. Like I really did. I like being a hands-on person. I like being kind of in the middle of something, and I like taking something apart and then putting it back together to make it work. And I was like, boom, that's me. I'm a technician. I'm not. I'm not a technician.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit more of kind of progressing through these different certifications and taking some of these different classes and just kind of exploring all the different areas. I'm not a technician. I'm an administrator. I love being behind the keyboard and going into these different systems and setting up these different policies and finding the new technology and moving all these pieces and parts to put together that overall picture, that big puzzle. And I think that's really what's important is when you're working through these things, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to work with other people and find your passion. You just have to find your passion because once you get there, you'll never work again. It's all fun and games from there.
So let me just, on a monetary side, if you had chosen that path of cosmetology and then your path now being close to your home, um, would you have changed anything?
Definitely not. I, again, cosmetology can be very lucrative, but it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of time on your feet. And the reason that I was separated from the military is because I messed up my knees.
Mm,
So it wasn't something that I was going to be able to do long term. It was just kind of a means to an end in that moment. And with what I have now and what I do now, I've progressed further than I ever could imagine, even just in what's it been 4 years,
yeah,
and that's it.
that's right.
In just 4 years, I went from literally being nearly homeless, like I was couch surfing for the first week and a half that I was in Florida, and now I own my own home. I'm looking to have children. Like it's 4 years, and that was it.
Amazing, amazing. I love your story, Jasmine, and I really want to encourage a lot of other people to go into IT and find that dream job, and also think about financial independence. Right now, there's a lot of people that have gotten misplaced in the workforce, and those people, whether they're in hospitality or they're in the service industry, some people are programmed, not to coin any computer lingo, but that they can only do certain jobs. And I'm finding that the workforce in IT has become much more diverse, much more engaging in a team environment. And I think that people, if they give themselves a chance, they can succeed just like you did.
I agree.
And so I want to thank you for doing this interview with me, Jasmine. It's always a pleasure with spending time with you. And maybe if I travel to was it North Carolina, South Carolina,
South Carolina, come look me up.
South Carolina, I'll drive by. I know 95 goes right through there.
It does. It does.
Okay. Thank you again, Jasmine.
You're very welcome. I was glad to be here.